Hey guys, it's your boy Kai Sensei, the only Sensei, and welcome to this Total War Warhammer 3 campaign beginner's guide. We was on stream on Twitch the other day, and while we were streaming, a viewer of mine asked if I could help him teach the game. So I thought this was a good idea to just get this out there, have a YouTube video on it as well to help many others who might want to delve into Warhammer 3 but don't know how to. So, starting off, this is the main screen, what you see when you first load up the game. And first things first, what you want to do is for campaign, we click campaign and then we click new. So right off the bat, we're greeted with three sections for the campaign: the Lost God, the Realm of Chaos, and Immortal Empires. Now the Lost God is basically the tutorial, and it kind of dives into the lore. So if you're new and want to get used to the mechanics, it lets you play a Kislev faction with a scenario to it, so it's not very free around the map. Return of Chaos is a story-driven experience, which the factions you can play are limited, and it's more scenario-based as well. It's kind of the Lost God. After you finish the tutorial, you go into the Realm of Chaos. It has a few more different mechanics. Now, Immortal Empires is the sandbox mode, which we all love and play. It features the whole map of Total War Warhammer 3 and all the factions that you can play. Now, this is the faction screen once we choose Immortal Empires. There are a few locked behind DLCs. For example, for me, I don't have the Ogre Kingdoms. The ones with this purple icon here are DLC. I have some of them unlocked, some of them not. And the ones here with this little icon, they're the recommended first campaign. So they're technically easier, not really, just the mechanics are easier to grasp in these factions, and it gets your head around the whole idea of Immortal Empires. There's a total of 24 factions to choose from, each having their own legendary lords. For example, if we go into Vampire Coast, which we're playing right now,
is all mine.
okay, Luthor, calm down. So if we go into the Vampire Coast here, we can see they have 4 different legendary lords, and they're all gonna speak over me when I
heal my mind.
yeah, and they each have different. They're not all set to 4. So if we go into the Empire has 5. Some are locked behind DLC, but basically each of these legendary lords, as we call them, have their own faction effects that we can see on the side here. So, for example, the Vampire Coast has these buffs and debuffs and lord effects. Each lord effect has its own. So if I change to this one, you get different effects. And each lord has a different starting location. So this is the whole map of Total War Warhammer 3. So Luthor starts down here, where the settlement called the Awakening is. And then, as we can see, Count Noctilus, Aranessa starts over here, and Ursula looking Cleostra starts up here. Now once we select our lord, for the sake of this video, we'll select Luthor Harkon. We check the lord details, we check the starting army. So the starting army shows what the units would be in this lord's army when we first start off. We'll get more into that later on. But each lord has their own starting army and their own playstyle. Now if we go into lore, if you're into lore of like different characters, different factions, there's a lore tab over here where you could read and just soak in the lore of Warhammer. After we selected our lord, if we have Luthor, stop trying to interrupt me, thank you very much, we head over to settings. So we start from the top and then head our way down. Here we're greeted with this screen where we have the campaign difficulty that we get to choose. Then you have battle difficulty, so the battles inside the campaign have their own difficulty compared to the campaign. Now we'll get into battle and campaign movement later on in the video. So here we have the settings for our campaign. So these aren't that important. Enable sea lanes, you just get to see the sea lanes. And if you hover over these marked, it would actually tell you what they are. For example, sea lanes allow faster travel between certain sea locations, and oceans at opposite edges of the map. Only player controlled factions can make use of sea lanes. So the game itself has done quite a good job actually explaining what the game, like what these settings each do. So we could just go over them. Endgame scenarios is like a endgame crisis mode, where if you achieve long victory or like according to your preferences, you just go through these scenarios that will trigger once we hit the term range timer or the long victory, however you set it up. Now, following along, we have the advisor frequency. So that's just an advisor will pop up and help you out. We have this in games like Age of Empires, Civilization. So if you play those type of games, you know what I'm talking about. We'll see it in game later on. Then we have the battle settings here. Not much to do. And then the sailing. Once we're all happy with that, we hit start campaign, and then we move on to the campaign map. And from this point on, I will switch over to the stream where I explain the rest of the things on the campaign map. Can you teach me this game? Of course I can. I'll just go over the basics for you real quick if you want. So, this is the campaign map. Right now, we just started a new campaign. You start with one settlement and one unit, which is your legendary lord. So you have an army like this unit here. We have the lord of the army, we have the units, and then we have the campaign map. So for example, this is our lord Luther Harkon, and the enemy units here. So we click and move as you would, but it's more of a like in the green space you're allowed to move. Each settlement, so the awakening is our base settlement right now, which is our capital. There's like a border, if you can see it, with the green and red, and it goes around. This is the region that we control currently, and each settlement has its own region in which they make a bigger region, if that makes sense. So 1, 2, and 3 would make the jungle of webs, and you get buffs for controlling all the regions, etc. Let's go into our first battle. We just right click and our lord moves to where we tell it to. You need to conquer them, don't you? Yes, according to the faction. So some factions you can go without conquering them. You can make under bases like Skaven, the rats. They make under cities under already established cities. Or for example, the pirates make a pirate cove where they steal money from the owner. Before battle, you get this screen. It shows you the units, etc. You could choose to auto resolve it. So if we auto resolve, the battle result is close to victory. So we'll have a victory, but we will lose one of this unit. You can decide to fight, in which we will, because it's our first battle and we always fight our first battles here. So let's just go in and then I'll tell you the rest later on when we actually load in. Each faction have their own like buffs and debuffs, and like according to their theme. Some factions are really good with ranged units, some factions are really good with their melee infantry, some are good with monsters, like the demon faction, chaos faction as they're called. And we're usually good with our gunnery units. So in the battle screen, we go into this view where we have all our units, which we can zoom into as well. So these are our pirate gunnery mobs. And then we have our... who's this? Oh, these are also our gunnery mobs. We got our little bats carrying zombies with swords. And then, yeah, and what faction is best, or is it based on playstyle? It's based on playstyle. You could play, like, it's not very meta, so it's not like, oh, this faction is the best. But there is factions that are weak, that need to get buffed or nerfed, updated. Not nerfed, but buffed, yeah. So what we're gonna do to start off, I do not like these trees, even though it's good. I'm gonna grab my gunnery mob and place them here. We'll get the deckhands right behind them, so they can move forward when the enemy approach us. Get close to our gunneries so they can actually shoot. Let's pull them. No, 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 no. I love how the zombies have no formation whatsoever. Scurvy dogs. Let's have them on the flanks so they can run in. Our mortars at the back. And as you can see the range of each unit as well, so they'll be able to fire. Alright, let's start the battle. So we want the enemy to move to us. So we'll just wait. Let's have our mortars actually fire off. Oh, there they go. Who are you aiming for? Ow! You see, this is why I like artillery. It's just so satisfying. Alright, we want to keep bombarding the mob at the front. They got some bombers. Oh, these bombers are gonna be annoying. I get it that they are two separate things, but it's close to it and it's nice. Yeah. I wasn't sure if I said Warcraft or Warhammer. That's why I was correcting it. But yeah, it's really good. Oh, they got demolished. That's half their health gone. Oh my god, here they come. Are we ready? Let's set off more mortars, please. Who are we going for now? Oh, the same unit. With the zombies and the pirate coast, the white bar under their name is like their courage, like their bravery. If it's depleted, other factions, the unit usually runs away, but in this one, oh, let's go. Let's go, let's take down their bombers. That's why I wanted to take down the bombers. Let's send the blocker in. The swords need to go up now. Oh, nice. This unit got absolutely demolished. Where's the scurvy dogs? The scurvy dogs, let's go. Get these guys at the back, who's not defended. Have our lord go in as well. Keep going forward. Monsters. Need the monsters to run in. These guys can move up. And we could actually have these guys engage as well. Okay. This battle went like in our favor a lot. I don't think we're gonna... Oh, yeah, mortars, stop. There's friendly fire. I don't want to lose a unit. Come on, stay in there, stay in there. We got the monsters to back you up as well. Come on. What are you guys doing? Why are you just watching? Nice. Let's flank them from the back. Scurvy dogs, you help these guys out. Oh god, this is just absolutely beautiful. They are gone. Did I lose any units? I don't think so. Get their lord, everyone. Pile up on the lord, pile up on the lord. Where's my lord? Why are you just chilling? Okay, it's just his lord left now. Let's bring these guys out. If I recall correctly, this game can be played online. Yes, indeed they can. It's only PvP, I believe, though. You don't get the campaign online. You don't get the online campaign experience. Let's close him off from here as well. I think my lord's shooting him. Captain. Let's see if my bats can actually shoot him from up there as well. Because lords are really hard to kill. Let's fast forward this. since it's just the Lord now. Yo, the Lord's putting in work. Yep, hopefully. Doesn't seem like it. The auto-resolve was saying I was gonna lose 1 unit. Oh, wait. Was it saying I was gonna lose my... there we go. And the Lord's down. I think the one I lost was the bloated corpse, which actually blows itself up, so... I think that's the one that I lost. Let's see. Yeah, the bloated corpse, there we go. It took 12 people with him. If you're in friendly territory, the health gets replenished by every turn that goes past. So the loading screens do take a while though, which is the problem, so I'll show you once we load back into the campaign. No, not really, as long as you're in friendly territory. And also, I could replenish through this screen. So after a battle, it gives us 3 options. One is, for this faction, share the loot, which gives us -50 infamy, which is actually bad, but it gives us unit experience. So they'll go from like bronze 1, bronze 2, bronze 3, and their stats will go up. I could replenish my army by 18% by assimilating captives, or I could get treasury if I ransom them. So what we're going to do is, we don't want the minus effect on infamy at the moment, because we are going to change the units anyway. We will either replenish or treasury. We have treasury, so we'll replenish the units so we could keep moving on. Now that's that quest complete. Now let's see what we can build. Cannons, yeah, we want to go level 2. Okay, so let me explain the way buildings work in this game. So for this settlement, we have the capital. Capitals always have 10 building slots. Capitals can usually go up to settlement level 5, which you can see here. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to increase the settlement rank, you need population surplus, which you get with growth on the left, as we can see here. And as we get more growth, so in 5 turns with plus 30 growth, we will have 1 population surplus. And to get to settlement level 3, we need 2. So approximately like 10 turns if we don't increase the growth. Now, what else? Yes, exactly. Exactly, yep. And Civ-ish, I guess. What else do we have? We have corruption, which is, we spread vampiric corruption since we're vampires. And as you can see, the region that has vampiric corruption is like blacked out, like grey. And then this part is green because they have no vampiric corruption. Now, corruption gives buffs and debuffs depending on the faction you're playing. For us, it gives us buffs. For other factions that would enter the region, they will get debuffs or nerfs, basically. And with this, with the gold we make, we could build, for example, the second level of this. Basically, it's a barracks for gunmen. Since we have level 1, we could recruit the zombie pirate gunnery mob. At level 2, we unlock these 2, which we need. So we'll go with that. Our faction also has a moving settlement since we're pirates, so it's a pirate ship. If we click here, we have a shipbuilding panel, and we want to make it level 2 as soon as possible so we could unlock more buildings. Now, what do we have? We have a few buildings that alter the missile strength and melee defense. We have a few buildings that increase corruption. We have a few buildings that increase growth in the ship and decrease our upkeep of troops. For the first one though, we want to go with growth. Because, yep, so we want more buildings. We're going to be focusing on the pirate ship mainly in this challenge. let's get that building. Now also, what we want to check is our victory conditions for this faction. So for a short campaign victory, we want to restore Harkon's mind and occupy, loot, raise or sack 30 different settlements. That's for a short victory. Now restoring Harkon's mind is this legendary lord's specific objective. With our long victory campaign, we obviously want the short victory conditions, and we want to occupy, loot, raise or sack 75 different settlements, and also be the most wanted pirate of all. And then in the end, it's just dominate the whole map for a complete domination. As we can see, we can't see much of the map. We know the lizards are here, the lizard men. These maps, these settlements look like they're not taken, but they're filled with Skaven, which is a rat faction, who we don't have any beef with. It doesn't end, like you just can keep going. So you do short campaign victory, then you do long campaign victory. On long campaign victory, there is something called Ultimate Crisis, and that triggers unless so Ultimate Crisis is like a scenario in like the later stages of the game, and there's a few Ultimate Crises in Warhammer. It's basically like an apocalyptic scenario that you have to deal with, and that is triggered on long campaign victories and also between turns 100 and 150, whichever one's first. So there's that you have to deal with, and then there's the domination victory where you could just keep scaling and take over the whole like map, the whole world. So you could just keep going. We'll attack next turn. The only reason I can't attack this settlement right now is because I'm building with the pirate ship, so this faction has a movable settlement like we have here. So next turn these will be built and then we can advance. And you can play the whole map in one scenario. Yes, exactly. So right now we're here, and later on in the game, like, all of this could be ours. This is the whole map. So there's a lot, and we're just here. Like the high elves and stuff are situated on this island here, with the dark elves also being there and a bit here. It's a pretty large map. Yep. Ah, yes, the recruitment panel. Let me just go through that real quick before I get into more advanced stuff. So, if we're in the region, or in our case, we are a moving settlement, military chain buildings are required. So we don't have any military buildings in our moving settlement, which is why we can't recruit from the bottom side. But we get a global recruitment as well, which means in your region, no, which means wherever you are in the map, you can recruit from the buildings that you have, but it takes more gold to recruit and more turns. So if we had, for example, a military building on Lufa, our moving settlement, then we'd be able to recruit this, but only in one turn and for less gold. But because it's global, it's 2 turns to recruit. Now, the Vampire Coast faction has an interesting mechanic as well, where it can raise dead. So raise new units from the dead buried in this region. So from the battle that we just did, we can actually raise units again from the units that have died, which is pretty cool. So we want... let's get some gunnery mobs as much as we can. They're really quick, you just raise them and then they're in your units. So let's advance into the settlement before they make more men.
My madness is not weakness. That was
okay, let's make our first move to Poxmarsh. I'm going to take these 3 settlements, so we have this region, which will give us boosts from occupying the whole region. And then afterwards we want to go and start making pirate coves without actually occupying the settlements and go into battle on sea. Now if we go into diplomacy, we can and see how the others are doing, and we can make quick deals.
Great leader.
Non-aggression pact with Clan Spitel, which is the Skavens. They are probably the ones here at the moment. Now let's see what this settlement has. This settlement is a minor settlement though. Exactly like generals in Heart of Iron. So the minor settlements only have 4 slots in which they can only also go up to level 3. So you have to be mindful of buildings you place in them, because some buildings, for example, like this one, go up to level 5. So putting a building that could go up to level 5 is a wasted potential in smaller settlements. Ah, there we go, see? Since we occupy the region now, we can actually do local recruitment, whereas the same unit is 2 turns in global and 1 in local recruitment, and it costs less. It is buffs. You unlock Regiments of Renown, which is these special units. So this recruit Regiments of Renown. They're currently locked, but they're basically units with higher stats. If you're watching over on YouTube and I decide to upload onto YouTube, if you don't subscribe, I'll set repeat on you. Repeat will eat your toes. Exactly. And peace.